This is Ye, mostly known as Kanye West. He had a net worth of over $1 billion. He is also one of the most controversial celebrities on the planet, and today we will break down how he made all of those money and why there won't be any more Yeezys produced. But more in that later. First of all, let's find out where did he come from. When he was a child, he was really into arts and poetry, which later transformed into music. At the age of 13, he wrote one of the first songs that was called Green Eggs and Ham, which proved that he is very creative. Later on, he dropped out of college because he really wanted to do music, and although at first he was not really accepted, he reached a lot of success as a producer and then became artist himself. It was clear that he was really passionate about what he was doing, so in early 2000s he began doing his own music, and his first album, The College Dropout, reached a lot of success. After that, he started to make one album after another, and every album reached a lot of success. He was really early in the industry, so he didn't have much competition and really just exploded with his music. Once he became known, he began making songs with other famous artists such as Jay-Z, and in about 2010 he began to think about fashion, because as a creative person that is also something he was really into. He had a lot of ideas about which items to make in terms of shoes and clothing, and that's exactly what he did. This pair of shoes now goes for a very high price because of the marketing and because people saw value in what he did. There's probably nothing that can make a pair of shoes so expensive other than gold and diamonds, but it turns out that by using social media and a little bit of economics such as supply and demand factors, you can make people pay so much for a pair of sneakers. Later on, he started working with Adidas and made this. When this pair of shoes came out, people who weren't into fashion thought that he was under something when making this. But many people began supporting the brand, and soon Yeezys became probably one of the most desired pair of sneakers in the world. Even though a pair of shoes from Adidas usually goes for around $120, Yeezys were sold for at least $500, and nobody seemed to mind because it was so cool to own a pair. This fashion collaboration was probably one of the most successful ones in the history and brought Ye millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. What's even more interesting is that after a pair of shoes was released, they usually went up in price because oftentimes they were sold for whatever somebody paid, and so whoever paid more got the shoes. You couldn't just go to the store and buy them, or you would have to wait in a huge line like this one. Otherwise, you would have to make an offer online, and if it was accepted, then you would get the shoes. Now, this was few years ago, but right now, according to the recent news, Adidas and other companies such as Balenciaga are not working with Ye anymore. And that's due to anti-Semitic remarks from Ye in the media. So from this point, the future of Yeezys is unknown, but according to the recent news, they're actually going up in price since they will become even more rare. Now let's take a look at what is actually going on. Ye has shared his views on topics around Jewish people, and the companies that Ye has worked with for years now break all contacts with him. But is it really Ye who did something wrong? This isn't to defend him in any way, but if you look without any bias at what he says, there isn't much of what we get from the media in his speeches. He, just like everybody else, has the right to have his own opinion on certain topics. The problem is he has a lot of influence, so whatever he says has a huge impact on other people. If you take a look at the success of his collaborations, he has made so much money because he was using his personal brand. It wasn't that the shoes were so comfortable that it made people pay those hundreds of dollars for it. It was him who created all of the hype. Now, why that matters so much is because if you mess up with your image, it may affect your business as well, and so those companies that worked with him just simply did not want all of that to happen around them. It is also important to consider that the media plays a huge role as well, because if you look at the news, it almost seems like Ye is the second hero. So what this means is that you shouldn't just consume the information given on the web as is, because oftentimes it's not accurate and there is just too much negativity in it. Few people understand that it's not actually Yi who spreads all of that information, it's the media, it's the news, it's the different channels on YouTube. And so if the goal was to prevent somebody from being upset or angry about what he says, then the media could just block everything. Just don't allow people to see any information that Yi has given. So the point is, there is just a lot of brainwashing going on, and it is absolutely on purpose. With that said, you may want to be a little bit more careful about consuming the information online. If you think that's a great idea, be sure to subscribe because there is a lot of great content coming in the future. Alright guys, thank you for your time and see you in the next video.